The original How to Train Your Dragon was in one sentence the little movie that could. A well voice acted, beautifully animated, fun little movie about a boy named Hiccup living among Vikings who develops an unlikely friendship with a dragon during a time where both are on opposing sides of a war. While the premise wasn't anything especially original, what caught critics and audiences completely off guard was in how it genuinely touched them. It spawned the same involving, emotional response as movies like E.T. did, and showed that DreamWorks Animation really did have something going on. Not simply because they put to rest the tired and worn out modern day references and Shrek sequels, well at that point, but because How to Train Your Dragon was a genuinely well made movie with heart that everyone could enjoy. Grown-ups appreciated it for the subject matter, animation geeks loved the visuals, teens adored the well-realised brains before brawns protagonist, and kids loved it for the power fantasies and dragon mythology incorporated into the world that had been set up. And if How to Train Your Dragon was the little movie that could, then the sequel manages to have that very same sincerity, but with the adage of bigger balls, and it proves for sure that these guys didn't just get lucky once, but really do have the chops for genuinely great quality cinema. Case in point, How to Train Your Dragon 2 is an outright brilliant movie. In fact, it could possibly be the best computer animated sequel ever made. Not only due to the richer story it tells, but it's even more so than before stellar voice cast, its jaw-droppingly fantastic visuals, amazing score, and response it'll undoubtedly emit from its audience. Any lesser movie would have done one of the following three: break Hiccup and Astrid up, break Hiccup and Toothless up, or break the Vikings and Dragons up, and then go about rehashing that very same plot and goal of the original simply because it got popular. But fortunately enough for those of us that appreciate moving forward, the filmmakers are far better than this. How to Train Your Dragon 2 has a goal in mind. It's a deliberate movement of the story which develops characters and ideas into newer, more exciting places, and serve as the second act in a trilogy-long story, which I can't say I've ever really seen done before with computer animation. Yes, we've had CG trilogies, but this is really the first time they've actually sat down to dish out what the overall story was, where they wanted it to end, and how it was going to get there. Clearly having taken a lot of inspiration from films such as The Dark Knight and The Empire Strikes Back, Train Your Dragon 2 serves as the most interesting act in the story, and with that comes an unexpected level of respect for its younger audience to handle harder hitting, darker themes and more sophisticated, mature ideas that they just don't get exposed to nowadays in family movies. The story takes place a good 5 years after Hiccup and Toothless successfully united Vikings and dragons on the island of Berk. While Astrid, Snotlout and the rest of the gang are challenging each other to dragon races, the island's new favourite contact sport, the now inseparable pair journey through the skies, charting unmapped territories and exploring new worlds. When one of their adventures leads to the discovery of a secret ice cave that is home to hundreds of new wild dragons and the mysterious dragon rider, the two friends find themselves at the centre of a battle to protect the peace. Now, Hiccup and Toothless must unite to stand up for what they believe in, while recognising that only together do they have the power to change the future of both men and dragons. And with this 5-year gap, there's been a conscious decision to break every rule in the book and actually age the players here, meaning that while yes, there's the easy to notice change in his physical appearance, which I'm sure gives that weird group of fangirls more to play with, Hiccup has more importantly been aged in terms of characterization. If in the first he was the Harry Potter, Peter Parker protagonist, then in Dragon 2 he's Luke Skywalker at the start of Return of the Jedi. Now a lot more self-assured, confident and mature, and having honed his abilities, he's one of the best dragon riders on the island and fully takes command with a surprisingly engaging vocal performance from Jay Baruchel. Seriously, he's actually a really talented voice actor, who knew? His father, Stoic, voiced by Gerard Butler, wants him to become the new chief of Berk when it's no longer his time, but Hiccup finds himself more drawn towards the dragon riding and world discovery. What transpires throughout the film, wherein the dragon rider reveals herself and the main antagonist Drago Bloodfest puts his deadly plan in motion of controlling all the dragons, forces Hiccup into leadership. Dragon 2 ultimately serves as Hiccup's coming of age story, which is not only involving and relatable, but downright inspirational. And the relationship between him and Toothless is still arguably the most joyful thing to watch. If any kids or adults related to the lovable pet aspect in the first, it's still very much one of the strongest emotional anchors in this franchise, and here Toothless as well gets an unexpected amount of development, and anyone that's seen the film will know exactly what I'm talking about. In terms of the interesting dragon mythology, it's by no means been lost. Whereas the first dulled out information to us through witty antics and that funny card trading character, the second takes a show don't tell approach. Each and every dragon goes about their business in different ways, and it helps to constantly keep an eye on what interesting things the animators have done with them, both in the foreground and background. And while acknowledgement still very much goes out to the animation department, an enormous amount of credit also goes to director Dean DeBlauers, who's made a genuine effort to make this feel like not only a good computer animated movie, but a good movie in its own right. How to Train Your Dragon 2 is arguably the most visually beautiful computer animated movie ever. With its stunning cinematography and use of the new animation software at DreamWorks, this sequel just looks better. The quirky style is still present, but everything looks more natural and, pardon my choice of words here, three-dimensional. The camera work is also handled as if this were being shot in real life, and the lighting is just tremendous. Whether it be gliding over the clouds during sunset, soaring into the air, or diving headfirst into battle, you always feel completely immersed in the scene, as if you really are up there flying alongside Hiccup and Toothless. The opening flying sequence is awe-inspiring. The music, the lighting, the angles, everything put into it just makes it a beautiful scene, and it was my favourite aspect of the movie. I really do believe that this world is real when I watch it, and I so desperately want to venture in and explore it. The action is also grander. Now the Vikings have had a good 5 years to master dragon riding, the fights are all the more epic. Hiccup even gets a fire sword, which is just awesome. The downfalls lie within a few things, mainly the villain. He looks cool and serves well as the antagonist that all the major characters have to overcome, but he lacks a good emotional backstory to justify his villainous intentions, and so erases any possible investment in his character. And while I'm not sure it's necessarily a bad thing, Hiccup's gang of friends get lost by the wayside and devolve into 5 different characters, all serving as one comic relief. They're funny, but they don't age beneath the surface like our main protagonist does, and sometimes feel as if they're in a different movie. I think I also could have done with more Astrid in the film, but that's a few faulty drops in an otherwise flawless Ocean. I was genuinely surprised at how much respect the filmmakers gave their younger audience here. It's not every day that a sequel rewards continued viewership, yet How to Train Your Dragon 2 does exactly that. The reason it works so well is because it puts story first and allows everything else to follow. It's that same mature writing giving children the credit they deserve as audience members, which made movies such as last year's Frozen and this year's Lego Movie such surprise hits. Which begs the question, are we now in an age of more clever, sophisticated writing and family movies? If so, bring it on. I'd probably say that this is the best animated film you'll find yourself taking the kids to this year, but even if you don't have kids, it's still a really smart, fun film for adults as well. It's big, it's bold, it's great, and definitely worth your time. I wholeheartedly recommend it. Cheers for watching guys, and as always if you like this video, you can subscribe to my channel.